tall shoes tonight.
Yeah, it was so muddy, we just like. It was a little chilly.
There you go. There's my other handout. Tonight.
So quiet.
Yeah. Well, you know,
Mark, will you sing
There we
for
go.
us?
We just heard a good song, I could do that one.
Jeannie has her gavel on.
good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the April 5th meeting of the Logan City Council. It seems surprising to me that it's already April, but our opening ceremony this evening is Alina?
I'm actually Sarah.
Sarah,
Fitzgerald.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, Sarah, I'm sorry.
You're good.
From CAPSA. This is Domestic Awareness Month, and they wanted to come and share with us some of the thoughts that CAPSA brings to our community.
Is this where I go? Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here today. My name is Sarah Fitzgerald. I'm the Chief Communications Officer at CAPSA. And I'm just going to start by telling you a little bit about a few statistics and numbers regarding sexual assault. So April is actually Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and in the year 2021, at CAPSA, we actually received over 750 crisis calls where sexual assault or rape was the primary issue. Caseworkers have spent over 8,000 hours working with sexual assault survivors, and therapists spent over 2,800 hours in therapy with sexual assault survivors. CAPSA responded to 39 Code R exams last year, which are sexual examinations that take place at Cache Valley Hospital. And then in the past year, CAPSA has served over 288 clients who experienced sexual assault. And in just January and February of this year alone, we've already helped almost 100 sexual assault clients, which is a higher number than we've seen in recent years. We know that individuals in our communities are experiencing sexual assault and rape, and I want to talk about the best way we can respond. Before this meeting, you all signed a pledge committing to Start by Believing. This is a national campaign, and locally we've actually partnered with Utah State University to help promote this message. When we start by believing, we help a survivor on their journey to find hope and healing. And when asked, CAPSA staff responded as to why they start by believing, and here are their answers. I start by believing because everyone deserves the right to be heard and supported. I start by believing because no one should have to go through the aftermath of a sexual assault alone. I start by believing because so many others question or don't believe survivors. I start by believing because I want to stop the cycle of sexual violence. I start by believing because it can make all the difference in the life of a survivor. So we know this to be true, and when we start by believing, we can make all the difference, and this is what we strive for at CAPSA. One survivor recently wrote to us thanking us and sharing her story. She said, "I received help at a time in my life where I truly felt as though I had no one to talk to, nor someone to help me through what I was going through. Similar to other women, I felt heard, believed, trusted, and validated. Thank you for believing in me." We're really grateful for this community support and for the opportunity to speak here today about Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.
You
I
bet.
appreciate it.
Thanks.
The next item on our agenda is the acceptance of the minutes and the approval.
We have a pledge.
Oh, sorry. Geez, we do.
The pledge.
Whoa,
Careful.
this is gonna be quite the night. Tom, you start.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm fine. Excuse me for that. I should be a little better at that than that. Now we will move on to the acceptance of the minutes and the approval of the agenda.
I would move acceptance of the minutes and the approval of the agenda for this evening.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Our regular meeting schedule is the first and third Tuesdays at 5:30. Our next meeting will be April the 19th, right here in this room. We open the floor now for questions and comments for the mayor and or for the council for those items that are not otherwise on the agenda. If there's anyone who wishes to say something, please come to the podium, state your name, and take 3 minutes or less.
Hi, I've never done this,
That's okay.
but
Please tell us your name first.
Joanne Bennett, and I propose a resolution that be it resolved that the Logan City Mayor and City Council go on record in support of the People's Convoy. I don't know if you have questions or know anything about it. And part of that support is to endorse its purpose.
We don't know.
Familiar with the convoy?
I don't know if anybody else knows anything at all about
If you'd
it.
like to send me some information, email that to me. I'd be happy to distribute that to the council members, and then they can make that
Okay,
decision
the main
once they're
purpose
informed.
is to remind elected officials that they work for the citizens. So you probably all agree with that already. And to also remove the Emergency Use Authorization Act that the president put into law. So, but I can send it to you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Erin Bennett. I'm super nervous. I don't really like standing up here at all. So,
Say your name one more time. for me.
Erin Bennett.
Thank you.
Yes. So, first of all, I would like to say I've been coming to meetings for about 6 months, and I've been very impressed with the staff of Logan City and how well they research topics and all the information they bring before the City Council to make decisions. And if they don't have enough information, I believe as was the case with the fire chief and the relocation of the fire department, they're sent back to get more information so that the City Council can make decisions based on facts and information. And so I was looking for the presentation that the City Council used to base our decision on the splash pad on downtown, the Center Street Plaza. And what I found was marketing material, and there was no like facts or information there. It was all just fiction. And I'm wondering like if a cost-benefit analysis has been conducted, not only like the financial cost, but also the cost of the infrastructure, how that's going to affect parking, how it's going to affect traffic downtown. I know at certain times of day, traffic on Center Street is backed up to First West, and we're going to be like past First West to Second West backed up. Also the power cost of that, especially now when we don't even have power, or it's going to cost, what, 5 times as much as in previous years. Then there's also the water, which I don't know how it looks for the city of Logan to ask residents to conserve water and then not do so themselves. My main concern, though, is a risk assessment. So we're going to have children playing on Main Street. I have a friend who used to work at the little daycare center, well, not center, but at Smith's Marketplace, and parents would go and drop their kids off there and leave them there and not shop at Smith's. So do we really want to create a place for parents to go drop off their children unsupervised on Main Street? I know a couple years ago, a car drove through the window of Anderson's. Are we going to assign a police officer to that area to ensure the safety of the children who are left unsupervised to play while their parents go shopping? Someone brought up a noise decibel test. I don't know if that's been conducted. Also, and someone mentioned this to me, which I had never thought of it, because it's anyway, but apparently like splash pads and also aquatic centers, they can be a draw for pedophiles, which is disgusting. And some communities, I Googled it, and some communities do have a serious problem with pedophiles stalking splash pads in their communities. So has that been addressed or discussed? Will probation requirements be amended to not allow people on the sex offender registry within a certain area of the splash pad? I also am curious about, because I've heard council get pretty far into the weeds with staff on some questions. And I'm curious about the discrepancy between this issue and other issues. Like, what is the burden of due diligence on the fire chief, for example, compared to, you know, the developers who brought the marketing material before the council on which they base their decision. And I also don't understand how an unbiased decision can be made with such biased information. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Tony Nelson. I hate doing this. Just pass all these nice pictures of me there. Tony Nelson, Logan, Utah. I'd have done this next time. We're in May. It's my son's birthday. Next meeting. So here we go. This is my comments on 1300 North, 10th West. Most of you know what my thoughts are. The road's in. I'm not mad at it anymore. It's done. Hats off to Tom and Amy for coming down to look at it. Here's my thoughts, and they are not complaints, and I don't want to damper Craig's first day, but the right-of-way permit. Can someone please address that? I put a copy of it in that packet. There's no right-of-way permit when this happened. I don't know how it happens, but my personal opinion is the utility contractors are not scared of not getting a right-of-way permit. There's no ramifications that I know of. I don't want to open it up for debate, and I don't want to take a whole big night. So just think about that, but there has to be a ramification, because when I called CenturyLink, no response. And you know how persistent I am. Finally got to the head of the food chain in Utah. He told me to back off, or they were going to sue me for liquidated damages for delay of the project. So that's Tony Nelson versus Comcast. CenturyLink, you know how that'll go. The common person has no clout. I watched Mayor Daines about 6 years ago when you were on the council stand off 4 guys in a backhoe for Comcast because they didn't have a permit. And they were worried that you guys wouldn't renew their utility agreement if they didn't play fair. So there's got to be something there. I'd like to see a deposit of $5,000, maybe $10,000. And this isn't a dig to Tom, Sam. You guys have been more than helpful, honestly. It is not a dig to anybody here, but there is no ramifications. In those pictures, you'll see what my lawn looks like. I don't know who to go after. I don't know if it's Logan City, you guys own the road now. I don't know if it's whom won't be named. I don't know if it's the property owner that used to own the ground, that's who won't be named, Teresa. I don't know if it's the contractor who won't be named, he's just down the street. So that's the first one. Second one, there needs to be something in there on right to trespass on private people's property. I've got 2 signs right at the entrance for private property, private parking. The excavator showed up on Friday afternoon in less than an hour and a half. So if this meeting goes an hour and a half, you 6 think about going home and seeing your lawn tore up for 30 feet, your sprinkler lines cut, and a mess, and you don't even know who did it. In an hour and a half. There's no notification. It seems to me that if you're going to dig on someone's property, but you're gonna be in the middle of their property, I get it. But if you're on Tom and I's property line, I think common courtesy would be to notify Tom what's gonna happen. That isn't in the right-of-way permit, no one asks. They dug it while I was at work and they left. I was working for Tech Electric at the time, all of you know Theo. Next morning I asked Theo, I said, how do you guys do this? How does this happen? It didn't take him 2 seconds. He said, 42 years, I've never had a complaint because it doesn't happen. It does not happen with Theo. It does not happen with Jim Wobb. It does not happen with Whitaker's, to my knowledge. It's CenturyLink, Comcast, UCC, FiberTel, Underground Solutions. Thank you. Last time FiberTel ripped my lawn up, I fixed it. Same situation. Cost me $800, and I did it all for free. Send the bill out, 8 months. No response. So, Mark, if I have your landscape company come and fix it, great. Send me a bill, and in 8 months after you threaten to take me to small claims court, I'll pay you.
I get that all the time.
So that's not, but it shouldn't be that.
I know it's not, yeah.
Second thing is, I didn't know what to do, so I called the police. Hats off to Officer Hines. Came down, took pictures, filed a police report. I was so mad in that letter, I was gonna rip the pedestal out Monday morning with the forklift. I gave him 48 hours notice. You so kindly talked me down from that, so I didn't go to jail instead of CenturyLink. So trespass was filed, goes to the county. I knew what was gonna happen, it's private property. You guys can't enforce that, but neither really can I. The next day, CenturyLink pulls in there with 2 big pole trucks in my parking lot, takes the parking up, and FedEx can't get into my one tenant. So I asked them to move. I volunteered to let them park in the back. They said, you're really gonna make us park on 10th West with all the traffic? We can't get to our toolboxes without standing across the white line. I said, where's your traffic management plan? Not one. So they parked in the back, they parked on the sidewalk. But I felt like the idiot, but I didn't have the parking to let them park there. Number 3, damage to the lawn and the sprinklers. If they'd have at least been courteous and said, we broke it here and we broke it here, bring some pipe out and fix it, I'd have fixed it. But instead, there's pictures, the pipe's on the lawn, now it's backfilled, so I don't know where it is other than turning the sprinklers on. And Holly, it's from you to I to dig to find the 3 sprinkler lines. Property line dispute, I would have gladly given 3 or 4 feet of that corner for handicapped access. All anybody had to do was ask. I had that property surveyed when I bought it, when I built the first building, when I built the second building, and then UDOT surveyed it in 2015. 4 surveys, all of a sudden my survey's wrong, and I'm off by 4 feet. So I was given 24 hours to find a survey company, the end of October, which there were none. And if I did find the survey, this is what is wrong. That's what I'm trying to bring to focus. If person A has a survey and they say they're right, I pay $2,500 for a survey to say that I'm right. So now what good did that do? Because where are we? I will lose. CenturyLink will be right, or we fight it. I don't have the money to fight it, nor do I think I should have to. I had 2 survey sticks in the ground for 22 years. They're both gone. I'm not blaming you guys, I'm just telling you where we're at. The existing ditch that's there that's now been piped is full of a foot of water, just slimy groundwater for mosquitoes or whatever, and it's on my side now, so I guess I fill it in. If someone would have asked me, I would have gladly figured out what I'm doing with my property because it rolled off to the barbed wire fence for 22 years and then went into Gosner's pasture. So now I've got 12, 15 feet, then there's 12, 15 feet of undeveloped road. The fence was going to be replaced or fixed. It's buried a little, not a big deal. Crosswalk doesn't line up. I'm sure UDOT's passed it off. The only crosswalk in Logan that's on an angle because my access isn't a proper handicapped access. The utility box wasn't moved, and I've put on notice about that box, and I get it, it costs money. I get it. But if 1200 North would have been there, that said company would have been responsible for both sides of the road. Now, the power box isn't moved, it's on the plan. It doesn't show where on the plan to move it to. So I asked Theo. Theo said, I don't know how I'd bid it because I don't know whether I'm moving it from point A to B or from point A to X. It never got moved. It will get ran over. And it scares me if the power goes off. Because at any given time, Thermo Fisher and Wasatch Photonics will have $250,000 worth of product on the table when the power can't go out. I don't think the road's close to city standards. I sat right here for 5.5 years and made everybody I can think of put in 2 exits, 3 exits, whatever the code called for. Here's a city standard plan. Trees, sidewalk, streetscape. It's not here. I don't know how we have Blue Springs develop it. I sat right there in Ernesto's chair and approved it. Trees, streetscape, curb, gutter. This doesn't have it. Gosner's, excuse me, this said unknown place on 1050 West. Nice new street. They've got 20 feet of sidewalk right by the intersection, then no more sidewalk. So all our employees walking the road, and I sat here for a while and listened to the CBDG money and where we're going to put sidewalks because we don't have any. I do not know why, when you have the opportunity to enforce a sidewalk, make them put it in right now, because they never will. In those pictures, you'll see that they build about 75% of the road. I have no idea. I'm not going to fix it. I'm not going to put it in. It's not even on my property. So there's curb and gutter for part of it, then no curb and gutter. Come down there and watch a semi-milk truck with a pup pull into that road. Watch him drive down the street, watch him try and make the left-hand turn. And then watch 2 trucks try and do it at the same time. It's impossible. Blue stake. I would like something in that, and Mayor Daines and I talked, when those guys mark the sidewalk, and I don't know, Tom will have to weigh in on this, their markings look like a crime scene. And I think that the sidewalk, you know, who owns it, who maintains it, I get all of that. But I don't see why they have to mark up 175 feet of sidewalk for a 30-foot project. And I don't know why we don't put it in there that they have to wash it off. And I've washed mine off. I pressure washed it because I can't stand how it looks. But I don't know why they don't have to do that. And it's either got to be blue stake, the marking guy, the person asking for the work, or the utility contractor. I don't know why. I don't know why you should have to look at that. Safety. I get that that isn't the city's policy. I've worked for you before. But if it isn't my policy as a contractor, who enforces it? And there's a picture there of a storm drain that the cover was off of it. Even with my fat belly, I would have fallen in it. And it was a 10-foot drop down to the ditch. And it was uncovered for a month. And I'm not telling you about your liability or how to run it. And I don't think that the staff has time to go enforce it on the contractor, but somebody ought to, just because it's the right thing to do. The sidewalk had a 12-inch drop off. There's a picture of that. One little candlestick at the end of the sidewalk. And you might think it's 10th West and no one walks. There are a gazillion people that walk down there to either A, get their steps in, or B, there's 2 bus stops and they're trying to get to one of the 5 businesses along that street. This is unrelated, but rocks on the lawn, that big around, that are falling off of the semis that are going down the street. And that kid that worked at Herm's Inn died from a who knows what on the road that bounced through his windshield, and I was going to bring the bag and I forgot. But every Saturday, grapefruit sized, I know where they're coming from. I don't know. Had the police down there today for a VIN inspection. I don't know who really enforces 10th West, but the speed limit on it is 70. And if it isn't the city, I'd ask that somebody call either the sheriff or the highway patrol and see. I volunteered my driveway. There's a new 1300 north that you could hide out on. And so moving forward, I would just like to know sort of what I can do to help. If I can offer any more suggestions that I have, please, it's not a complaint. But 7 times in 4 years is ridiculous.
To have your lawn dug up.
Pardon me?
To have your lawn dug up
Yeah.
and to have everything disrupted in front of your,
Well, I don't even care about that much. I get it. It has to happen. But put it back.
They need,
Put it back as good or better, and that's what the rule book says. And you look at those pictures, and it's not even close.
it's like, do we have instances of this happening somewhere else too? Or is it just,
You got to talk to somebody besides me, because
I mean,
I can't comment on that, but yes,
I'd be embarrassed
you would,
to do this kind of work.
you would, and so would 80% of the people. And that's why, I don't know how legal it is, but somebody somehow needs to put enough bite in that I can call Paul, and he was very kind. I got really after him on Friday night, and I've apologized. Sam and Tom came down. They do their part, but I feel like their hands are almost tied. So I call, I call CenturyLink. No. So who fixes it? And it shouldn't be on my nickel. I'm not going to take up any more of your time, but if I call Sharon, said, hey, is there a right-of-way permit? Yeah. Call somebody, say, come down and look at this. What do you think? Shouldn't happen. You guys ought to have a contact to be able to call whoever did it and say, you've got, whatever, a week to come fix it. If you don't, Tony will fix it, or I'll hire Mark to fix it. If it costs $3,500, great, we take their deposit. And I don't know how much flack you're going to get from that as the big mean city. But man, I wish you'd stick up for the little guy, because those guys on the top, I got no chance.
Yeah.
And I'm tired. $800 a pop times 7 is $5,600. And to me, $800 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, as always, at the bottom, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
thanks, Tony.
I've been hearing about this for you.
Are there any other comments? Oh, the mayor's moving on. We'll move on now to the mayor and staff reports.
First of all, before we begin with the items on the agenda, I would like to ask Kimber Housley to come forward. We have a special recognition award for him. As you can see, the next item on the agenda is to ask for ratification of Craig Carlston as our new city attorney. We would like to thank Kimber for 20 years of service to Logan City.
Both so much short, it was 27.
27, oh wow. Sorry about
And
that.
still counting, I might
My
add.
wife would be asking, where were you the other 7 years?
This says, in appreciation for your distinguished service to the city of Logan, we'd just like to present him with this award and recognize his family that's here for this award. But thank you so much for that. And we have a little treat for you that we hope you enjoy as well. And Kimber is actually continuing to work part-time for us, sort of doing some consulting on RDA matters and some other things. So we'll still get to see him to a certain extent. But the baton is officially being passed tonight, and we couldn't let that happen without a recognition for many years of service. So if you'll join me.
I knew something was up and my family started walking in. I'm like, what are you guys doing here?
So, but if you'd like to make a few comments, you're welcome.
No, I don't want to embarrass myself in front of my family. So it's already an emotional day because I have a daughter and 2 grandkids and a son-in-law that aren't here. He's the one that made them move to Dallas, and they're actually on a plane as we speak to Dallas. That's why they're not here. So I was already a little emotional. Now having to get up here, I'm not sure I want to say anything more. But I treasure the time I've spent here at the city. It's been a fulfilling, wonderful career. And I'm not leaving because I got tired of it. It's just I have other interests I want to spend more time with. But I look forward to the new leadership. Craig's going to do a wonderful job. He's going to be a nice upgrade. So you guys are in good hands. But like I said, our relationships will continue. So this isn't a goodbye, just kind of
We just
taken
have to go to a different office to find you.
Yeah. I'm just going to step back and let Craig deal with all the things that come up to the city, and I can just be there for support.
Come to the first 3 doors.
And you can't change your mind now, Craig.
So, again, thank you, especially from the executive team that's worked with him on a daily basis. We appreciate his wisdom and advice, and glad he'll still be around to a certain extent.
Can I say one other thing?
Yes, you may.
I just want to thank Kimber because I've been a part of the city for quite a few years, and he's always been willing to answer my questions, counter my questions, and argue with me. And all those things are good.
All right, with that, we will move on to item 6A on the agenda, which is the official ratification and oath of office for Craig Carlston, who will be our newly appointed city attorney. He has served well as the assistant city attorney for how many years now?
Almost 7.
Almost 7 years now, and is well experienced and the ideal person to move into that job. So I would propose ratification by the council tonight, and if he is indeed ratified, we'll have Teresa administer the oath of office for Craig.
Is there a motion to that effect?
I'd move gladly to ratify the appointment of Craig Carlston. He's been doing a great job. I know the family, I know him. So that's my motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Now you may do the oath of office. And you have family here as well, right?
I do. I'll introduce him right after.
Okay.
If we've got time in the meeting. It's a lot.
Okay, Craig, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Craig Carlston,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
as Logan City Attorney,
as Logan City Attorney,
to which I have been appointed
which I've been appointed
with fidelity.
with fidelity. I'll admit, I held my breath a little bit when there was that ratification vote. I wasn't sure I was going to get all ayes, so thank you.
We talked about it a little bit. No, it was a close vote.
I want to introduce my family, some who have traveled. My father-in-law, Mike Madsen, Joan Madsen, mother-in-law, my daughter, Kate, my wife, Heidi, daughter, Sophie, daughter, Ellie, daughter, Sammy, my son, Cannon, my mother, Janet, and my dad, Gary. Appreciate them being here. I told my wife I might have to say a few words, and she said, whatever it is, just keep it short. Nobody wants to hear you talk.
You did tell them they had to stay for the whole meeting, right?
Yeah, of course. They sat on the back so they could sneak out. And I told Rich I've got 45 minutes of material here, so. I wrote a few things down just to make sure I kept it short. I really am honored and humbled to be sworn in as the Logan City Attorney. I joined the city nearly 7 years ago and have been impressed since day one with the expertise and the care that all the employees, department heads have, the council, mayors, is pure, genuine care for their jobs and for the city. And while no organization is perfect, no person is perfect, it's been my experience that all the employees and those who work here care a great deal and are very proficient in their jobs. I want to express my appreciation to Mayor Daines and the council. So I've worked with many mayors over the years and many councils over the years. I'm grateful for Mayor Daines and her vision for the city. She cares very much about the city and doing the right things in the right way. She thoroughly studies the issues and strives to be fair to everyone as she takes on sometimes thorny issues. I appreciate her example and careful, strong leadership. I'm grateful to work with a council that is diverse in background, experience, and viewpoints, but is reasonable, cooperative, and united in its efforts to achieve the greatest good for the city. I've worked with a lot of lawyers. I worked in a large firm in Las Vegas and a small firm here in Logan. I've worked with many excellent lawyers who are also very good people, and those things can coexist, being an excellent lawyer and a good person. I've had the great fortune of working with Kimber the past 6.5 years. I've sat in many meetings with him and discussed many legal issues with him, and he shared many insights with me over the years. And while I think he'd have me learn from his expertise and his experience, I believe he'd want me to make my own footsteps as a city attorney. And other than his misguided passion for BYU athletics, I found him to be one of the brightest and most thoughtful, thorough, and well-reasoned attorneys I've ever worked with. It's a gross understatement for me to say that I appreciate him as a lawyer, mentor, and a friend. I also want to express my appreciation for my family. They've taught me how to work. My parents have taught me how to work, how to be respectful, and how to prioritize the most important things in life. They taught me through their daily lives the right way to act in my professional and personal life. I'm forever grateful for their examples and will always be indebted to them. My mother and father-in-law, Mike and Joan, have taught me from their examples to always strive for excellence in whatever I take on. I would not take on this responsibility without my wife and kids. I led my kids beyond my ability to articulate. They're the reason I get up in the morning. They're the reason I work hard and strive to improve each day. They also keep me humble. A few years ago, my eldest daughter, Sammy, was struggling with her math homework, and it became readily apparent that I couldn't help her. And she said, "Dad, I wish you were a math teacher, then you could help me with my homework. But you're just a lawyer, so you're pretty much good for nothing." I need to express my love for Heidi, my appreciation to my incredible wife. She accomplishes more than anyone I know and has gracefully and courageously overcome many frightening challenges. She's my life and my love, and I could not take this position without her matchless support. I recently attended a meeting where the speaker said, "Any day in Cache Valley is better than the best day anywhere else in the world." I've lived most of my life in Cache Valley. This valley, this city, and the incredible people who live and work here continue to have a profound influence on me and the way I choose to approach life. For that, I'm grateful and feel a solemn responsibility to give my best to this city. I've yet to meet a lawyer who's perfected the practice of law, and sitting here, I'm acutely aware of my own imperfections. I understand how challenging this position can be. I don't have a crystal ball, and I don't have a magic wand, but I promise to give my best to this city and this position. I'll work hard, exercise good judgment, and always work for the city. I will not let pride interfere with good judgment. I will be the right balance of velvet and steel. I understand that sometimes the best legal advice is I'll get back to you. I will go forward confidently and humbly, and I'll be an active listener. I'll do my best to understand the issues and strive to be a solution-oriented attorney. I'm grateful again for each of you for this opportunity, and I pledge to do my best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. We look forward to working with you on an ongoing basis, and we're happy to excuse the two families. We appreciate your attendance, and if you'd like to slip out, you're more than welcome to do that. So.
Can we leave the grandkids?
No, you have to stay, Kimber.
The next item on the agenda is a board appointment to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Is Sylvan here? What? Okay. We would like to ask the council members to ratify the appointment of Sylvan Needham to the Parks and Recreation Board. He has children in the rec program. He referees in one of the programs, and we think he'd be a great addition to that board.
I would move ratification of Sylvan Needham for the Parks and Rec Board.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. If you'll let Sylvan know that he is officially on board. Item C also has to do with the Parks and Recreation Association, and we'd like that group to come forward. We have an award to present to them. They received the 2022 Utah Recreation and Parks Association Outstanding Department of the Year Class 3 Award. So, woo-hoo! will. So congratulations to the Parks and Rec Department. You can take that back to your wall of honors and add I know. Agenda item D is just to let you know that among small cities, Logan was just ranked #1 as the top performing economy in the country. So this area includes, Logan, Utah includes the statistical area of Cache and Franklin counties. But again, we're ranked on job growth, 1-year job growth, 5-year job growth, 1-year and 5-year wage growth. Second, another rank for diversity in high-tech industries. So again, the kind of jobs that we were adding were particularly higher paying jobs, and there's information about that on the city website if you'd like more information. So that's just kind of an FYI. And then the last item on my list, number E, we'll be distributing this press release after the meeting, which is inviting the citizens of Logan to attend the groundbreaking ceremony for the new Logan Library on Monday, April 18th at 11:30 a.m., which is actually the library's 106th birthday. It was founded on that date 106 years ago.
Awesome.
So we thought that was appropriate. And at the ceremony, I will be announcing a significant lead gift for the library and other generous contributions to kick off the fundraising campaign. So again, you can see we're underway with this, the demolition and the site work, so we have one of these to distribute to the council members, and we'll send those out. But we invite anyone that would like to join us on the 18th for that ceremony, and 3 cheers for the library staff and all the other staff that are helping with that, and it'll be exciting to get underway.
There's a video feed too that you can watch, right?
Exactly, there is.
Cool.
So with that, I think my long list of items have been covered.
I've been working with the city for a long time, and it's always been on the docket about a new library. So thank you, Mayor, and congratulations.
And thank you to council as well. We've made it work together, so we're a good team. We've accomplished a lot.
Yep.
And the staff, of course, does lots of the work, but we appreciate it when you fund it.
Sorry, Kimber forgot his speeches.
You just really wanted to stay. Well, thank you, Mayor. I'm very, very excited about the library in particular.
Good.
The only item on council business is the planning commission update. There were 2 warehouses, one at 815 West, 1455 North, and another one at 1097 West, 200 South. Both of those did not require rezoning. They were just design reviews. And then there was a discussion, the South Walmart is putting in a fuel station. There was some concern expressed to some of the council members anyway about a request from the Walmart Corporation to have a driveway that would go on to Highway 89. UDOT denied that request. Well, no, they didn't deny it. They said if they wanted to do it, they had to put a 400-foot median in the middle of the road. And that would impact a lot of businesses. And I think that from what they said at the meeting, they have pretty much decided that that's a no-go for them. So, but the fuel station will be in the southwest corner of their parking lot. So, and the next planning commission will be quite busy. So, other than that, we'll move on now to our action items. First, we have a public hearing regarding a budget adjustment. Rich, you want to go over that real quickly?
3 items to consider. The first is a request to appropriate $1,804 from the U.S. Department of Justice for police cases that were worked. Request to appropriate $8,244 for reimbursements for our fire department for training and vaccine clinics that have been held. And lastly, a request to appropriate $935,000 of water reserves for the North Logan sewer trunk line work that is being done. And that is all.
We will be reimbursed for a portion of that as it's completed. Again, there'll be some capacity for Logan in the line, but again, we'll get reimbursed for a large portion of that.
From North Logan.
Correct.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Where does it go from and to?
Well, Sam can come and tell us. If you want more specifics, we have to ask the experts.
That sewer line goes from the weir that North Logan has, where their trunk line ends. It's about 200 west and 2,000 north, and it'll take it all the way to the wastewater treatment plant.
That's a big project.
Yes, it is. So this is just, we've been doing it in pieces. Right now there's a piece under construction at 10th North, 8th West. This is another piece at 18th North, 6th West, and there's a couple more pieces, and then it'll be done.
That's why the road's closed on 10th North?
That is why the road's closed on 10th North right now.
Okay. Any other questions? This is a public hearing. If there is any member of the public that wishes to speak to this, please come to the podium and state your name. Seeing no one, bring it back to the council.
I'll move that we accept resolution 22 and 11.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Our second public hearing regards park strip code amendments. We had a lengthy discussion about this last meeting. Tanya is here if you have any particular questions regarding the zone change, the code amendment. Anybody? No. This is a public hearing as well. If anyone would like to speak on this code amendment, please come to the podium and state your name. Seeing no one, bring it back to the council for discussion and a decision.
I did get one email on this from Michael Timmons, who thought that they were great.
Well, there you go.
Good suggestions.
He agreed that they were good changes. So that was the only community input I got on this directly.
I read the document, but I wasn't here for the discussion. So maybe this is a naive question, but there's a lot of places that are not in compliance. Are they grandfathered now?
Not in compliance as far as like the sprinkler system, or not in compliance as far as like that they have too much or too little plant matter?
They're just not in, I mean, I've seen a lot of things that are total gravel. You know, you showed pictures of that. So is there an effort to bring those into compliance?
In speaking with Aaron today, addressing some of Amy's questions from the workshop, that was his question. And we want to present it to you. Is this something that we are moving forward and grandfathering the locations that don't meet code today, let alone the new code? Or is this something that we're moving forward with just from here on out in new projects?
Well, I would assume you're going to have people who are going to flip what they have
Sure.
into this new format.
Correct.
Is that what you're considering a new project?
Yes.
Okay.
So a neighborhood or So that it is a good question. It was brought up today with Aaron and I, and neither of us have the answer for, is this.
But people who are not currently in compliance, your question is would we grandfather them in as being non-compliant?
No.
Okay.
It's not so much grandfathering them in, but how much can code enforcement, because that was my question to Aaron today about code enforcement. How do we have the manpower to do that? I think it requires more discussion with mayor and enforcement.
To encourage people to,
Well, not just encourage, but you drive down the street and there is plenty that is not in compliance.
I encourage them to comply.
And this goes before, this was all before even the new code. The new code is going to help a lot, but there are locations that are not in compliance with the old code.
And if we have code and we're not requiring compliance, then why have the code? I mean, I think you're asking a question to me that if we have, as a council, if we have a city endorse an ordinance,
right,
the ordinance needs to be enforced. And I think that the question of funding for enough people to manage compliance almost in some ways becomes a budgetary question.
Correct.
But to me, as the council member, I can't say, I'm going to pass an ordinance and, oh, it's okay that people haven't been following it and they don't need to. And we're not going to ask that they come into compliance with it.
When I asked Aaron about this today, he said it's very difficult. I'm sorry if you can't hear me. It's very difficult to enforce when a lot of city property does not comply. That was his response. And he asked he says, you think I should come tonight and discuss this? And I said, well, I can reiterate what our discussion was today, but it may need to go further than that. But
I think she's probably referring to park strips where just large rocks have been put. And again, we need to put a stop to that practice and going forward comply. Again, if someone has a park strip that has, grass, we're not going to force them to take their grass out and,
no.
Split. But, if it's out of compliance, we can enforce against that as part of the code.
I saw a house the other day that not only the park strip, but the entire front yard was gravel.
No.
So.
And that's something.
Not a tree to be seen.
This is not a totally new code.
No.
So there's a lot of properties that, and I lived in one, frankly, for a while, but where it was not in compliance then. So has there not been enforcement of this at all?
Aaron said today that it is not, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it's not, they don't have the manpower to go after every single thing. And until we
does that mean
maintain all of our park strips the way our code is suggesting that we do, then it's difficult to enforce.
I think the issue is when we have new construction, before they get a permit of occupancy, it's got to be conforming, but then later it progresses into something else.
That's for multifamily and commercial zones.
Yeah. And again, I think this is for moving forward, as you said. This puts a stake in the ground going forward, so the city is going to come up with plans to make an effort to comply with the new ordinance if it's adopted.
I mean, to me, it's we enforce weed height, we enforce those things, and sometimes they get enforced and sometimes they don't. But I would hate the messaging from this meeting to go out to people saying the city passed this, but they're not going to enforce it. Or if you have something right now that's out of compliance, don't worry about it. It will never be enforced. So I just want to make sure that we're clear that compliance is important.
Correct.
And we will do our best to help encourage and support people.
So Tom brought up the question about grandfathering. Generally, that goes to uses and non-compliant structures. And so this is a regulation of a park strip. Kind of like if we just passed or we're considering a weed ordinance, that weed ordinance would apply to all existing properties, even if they have weeds all over their front lawn. So I think, I don't know if the grandfathering can apply to this because it's not a use or a structure.
Correct. It wouldn't be grandfathered. It's just a matter of, if there was direction to Aaron from you all that this is something that we are going to streamline and focus on, then it would be his highest priority. It's just simply manpower, and it's simply having something that this has, the new code has a little bit of flexibility, and Tom, I'm willing to go through there's about 5 things that I can review with you if you'd like. But in terms of compliance, Amy, are you in talking to Aaron, are you familiar with how that process works and where the code is?
Yeah, but again, we've had a code.
Yeah.
Code, people should be in compliance with what was, and they should be in compliance with what is, and whatever we can do to encourage them, and whatever support we need to give our staff, and whatever potential budgetary things we need to look at, if this is a priority, we need to look at. But I don't think we should not pass an ordinance because
we can't enforce it.
Because we don't have an enforcement plan in place.
And I know that he is very open to that discussion, and
we can look at sort of realigning some of our existing resources. I mean, it's a pretty big deal to add additional staff with benefits and so on, but we can have some discussions internally at the staff level about how we can approach that better.
And Amy's correct, the council creates policy, legislation, and then staff would go out and enforce. I don't know that the council has to decide we're going to enforce this or not enforce it. I think if you're going to pass an ordinance, it should be law.
Yeah, if we're coming up to resources, then this is budget time. So Rich, I mean, I'm saying if it's important to the council, then we ought to add 1, 2, whatever people.
Let's have that discussion during budget. We'll deal with these other things there.
Okay. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Is anyone ready to make a motion?
I would move acceptance of ordinance 22-07.
If we pass this, it's going to go effective immediately, right?
Yeah.
Can we choose, or do we want to delay or choose a different effective date? Is that
For what reason?
for people that are not conforming, or?
Well, this is allowing more opportunities for people to do different things. So if anything, the people who aren't conforming to the existing policy, not necessarily not conforming to the new policy. Does that make
I guess this would be more just an update.
It gives people an opportunity to change their parks. I mean, that was the whole point, is it gave people an opportunity to change their parks to be more water-wise, because our old code really didn't allow people to be
Yeah, and I'm excited about
water-wise.
the water-wise.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now
We
it's
have a
time to
motion.
do-
There's a
Now's the
motion.
time to do that, so I second.
Okay. Now, if you want to talk about it some more, you can talk about it some more. So, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Our other action item this evening is a certification of Rivergate LLC annexation petition. Craig, would you talk about what this is?
Yeah, the process is that someone who wants to annex into the city can file a petition with the city, and then the city recorder will look at that petition and make sure that I'll back up. And the city has the opportunity to deny or accept that petition within 14 days of the time that that petition's filed. That 14-day time period is ran, so the petition has been deemed accepted by state code. So now the city recorder, with the assistance of the city attorney, makes sure that that petition meets certain criteria with signatures, map, and notice to affected entities. And when those things are met, the city recorder certifies that petition and brings it to the council. So that's what the purpose is today, is just to give notice that the city recorder has certified the petition. That begins a noticing period and a protest period for 30 days, and then the council will have the public hearing and can decide on the annexation, whether to approve or deny it.
Amy, you had a question about zoning?
Well, I had a question as I was looking at it. So the petitioner's application is that this is going to come in as NR6. That's what they're
requesting. Yeah.
Okay.
But that is not necessarily what the city will do?
The city council can decide what zone it would like to zone it.
We're a little zone nervous when it comes to annexations. So this is not a public hearing, we just need a ratification of the...
Actually, you don't need a ratification, it's just notice.
Just notice?
Yep. just
Okay, we don't
notice.
have to do anything? So you have been noticed.
We're noticed. I noticed that we
Okay.
noticed.
We'll move now. I want Teresa to notice it's exactly 6:30.
Nicely done, Tanya, thank you.
Wow, Denise.
Boy, what a manager.
Wow.
I was like,
Do you want us to applaud for you?
no, I was like,
I think that makes Teresa clairvoyant.
Just to make sure.
Yes.
I was like, oh, okay.
Compliments to
Anyway,
Teresa.
we have 2 workshop items this evening. Sorry, Rich, you're first.
Several requests, most of these are grants. We'll get to the last one, which is a little more interesting. First, a request to appropriate $5,616 for additional federal cases that were worked by police officers. Request to appropriate $362 of additional grant funding the Communications Center received for training and personnel. Request to appropriate $3,877 for a EMS grant. And now a request to appropriate $231,602 for a lease purchase of golf carts. And lastly, and I'll come back and kind of explain this, lastly is a request to appropriate $1,500 of additional funds for those same golf cart lease payments to get us through this current fiscal year. So lease accounting changed. Previously, when we paid leases, and this one would have been no different, we would have paid $5,000 per month times 12. We would have had in the current budget $60,000 to pay for this year's lease payments. Well, now under new accounting standards, whenever we have a lease that extends beyond 12 months, we do bring that to council, and council will appropriate funds to go...
To pay off the entire lease.
Basically, yes, to appropriate all of the funds necessary to pay the lease over the lease term. In this case, it's 48 months.
Is that sort of like capitalizing it?
It is. That's exactly what we're doing. We're capitalizing the use of these golf carts over the next 4 years. It sounds good. It's a departure from what we've done in the past. So what we're in essence requesting is council to appropriate $231,602 to pay for these leases. At the same time, we're incurring debt for the same amount that we're going to pay back over time.
But we'd still allocate funds as the time goes on.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a little different than what we've expected in the past. We've had these same golf cart leases over the last 8 years at least, and
Yeah.
maybe even
Longer than that.
further back than I can't remember exactly, but at least over the last 8 years. It's just never been brought to council. Now you will expect, or you should expect to see these periodically throughout the year as leases come up, various types. We don't lease a lot of equipment, but anytime we're renting something over an extended period of time, that's exactly what
Do you have
we're
to
leasing.
capitalize the leases on automobiles?
We would. However, most of our automobiles we buy and then we sell back.
Okay,
We-
so it's not a lease situation.
Exactly. We escape financing that way. There are some leases that we do for copiers and some of those types of machinery. It's very similar to a golf cart lease because we want the person who's leasing us the equipment to maintain it for us. It's kind of nice. But yeah, expect this moving forward. We did have a lease for the substation, I think was the last one that we had, and we brought this forward to council. So expect to see these periodically. Nothing has changed in our business practices. It's just accounting standards have changed, and now these are capitalizable events. Therefore, we come to council and request the council appropriate them. These are a little bit scary from an accounting standpoint because they're super hard to catch. If somebody is renting equipment and they've just gone down and got a piece of equipment and it's $1,000 per month and they have $12,000 in their budget, the department isn't thinking about, hey, this might be a capitalizable event. But in finance we are. And the problem with that is they'll have the $12,000 they need for this year, but let's say it's a 5-year lease. They don't have the $60,000 they need for the full lease, therefore they will exceed their budget. So this is a little bit of a concern for me as finance director. We may have findings in future years. What the finding would be is we didn't follow the proper procedure to get council to approve the 5 years worth of budget. We just had the 1 year's worth in our current year budget. So it's a concern. We may run into some hiccups as we move forward. However, we're committed to communicating and trying to make sure everyone realizes if you're renting something, even though it sounds like it's not a big deal, it might be a really big deal. So make sure you talk to us and then we'll bring it to council.
I have a question about the golf carts themselves. Are they electric or gas powered?
Electric.
Yay, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Electric, and this will be the last go around of 4 years where there'll be a acid-based battery, and then I think by the time 2026 hits, almost every golf course will be lithium-ion based. They're so expensive right now that once that price goes down, I think that'll be manageable. They're better for turf compaction. They're easier to maintain. Right now, they're good carts. They're quiet carts, but they are 6 batteries per cart and heavy acid-based batteries.
Okay. You were satisfied with the lease that we have currently?
Yeah, and as Rich said, it was something that came up during this whole COVID thing where we had an opportunity to secure the carts, and it wasn't anything in writing or anything like that. He just secured the carts for 4 more years with not an old cart, but the acid-based cart. And so it was, he suggested, the sales rep suggested that we jump on it because there wouldn't be carts available. And there's golf courses this summer that are going to be out of golf carts because they don't have any. And so it was a nice suggestion, but it was kind of my bad for not following the protocol, and I apologize for that, but I didn't mean anything by it other than just trying to make sure we had golf carts.
We rent out the golf carts to the players. How does that revenue compare with this expense, I guess?
Well, probably over $1 million in that close to $1 million in that time frame that we have those $240,000 worth of expenses. So probably 4 to 1.
I'd say that's a good deal.
Good thing.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, golf carts and the driving range, those are money makers, and the driving range is crazy too. So.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, Mark Montgomery, you are up.
The only one standing between me and my supper.
It's a good thing it's you standing between you.
You have 9 minutes to keep us on time. You have 9 minutes.
This will be quick. The only thing I need to correct is kind of the title of this thing, changing the power advisory from 5 to 7. That was the last resolution, and I pulled the old one, and we made edits, and I didn't edit the title. So really, this is just some minor procedural and just really minor edits to our procedures. One of the things is it said chairman everywhere. We had to change that to chairperson.
Just chair.
Well, it says chairperson, but I can change it to chair if that's more appropriate. I don't know.
So we're not stacking the court here.
Yeah. And then one of the other weird things was that I didn't really realize till I read the bylaws closer is we're supposed to pay the power board members $15 per meeting, which I've never paid. So we asked them, do you really want me to pay that? I will. Or do you just want me to bring donuts and bagels? And they opted for the donuts and bagels. That's kind of the gist of it.
And you switched from, there can be 3 members who
that was done.
Work at?
Oh, yeah. It was previously 2, but
yeah.
As we get a more diverse power board, and I felt like that was maybe a good change.
3 people who don't have to live in Logan but have to work
in Logan. Correct.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions? Oops, see you in 2 weeks.
It's it's a public hearing. You never know who's going to show up. You need to answer questions.
Are there any other considerations this evening? Then we are adjourned.
Way ahead of time, so good job.
Teresa, I have a note.